Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today, we've been invited on board USS Hornet in Alameda, California, and we're in a space that should be pretty similar to you guys. This is the Combat Information Center. One of my favorite things about visiting other museum ships is they often have things open, available, restored that no longer exist on Battleship New Jersey. So this CIC is set up roughly the way it would have been in 1970, in the late 60s when the ship was decommissioned. Well, our CIC was once the nerve center of the ship in Vietnam in 1968, 1969, but in the 80s, most of these functions moved up into the superstructure in CEC, and a lot of the original equipment down in CIC gets changed up or removed, so we don't know entirely what that space looked like. So coming on another contemporary space like this, we get to see lots of similarities. CIC on an Essex-class carrier, particularly one that's been modified post-war, is under the island, one deck below the flight deck level. There's actually 3 levels between the hangar and the flight deck itself that are filled with spaces like this one. So we're going to go around and we're going to show you some of the equipment that is similar. Like what you're looking at right now is very similar to how New Jersey's was set up. You'll notice we've got a Dead Reckoning tracer over here, the plotting board, just like we still have, although it hasn't been restored as well as this with the bug on and everything, the PIP arm. This is a beaut. You'll see the various surface and air search radar repeaters. There is a raised section up here. It's probably where your tactical action officer or the equivalent of that would have been. And he's looking at all the status boards where you've got guys writing stuff. Interestingly, in here, some of the status boards are mounted right against the wall. So, although they do seem to be hinged. So you might not have somebody standing behind them, or they might break out some. And then others, you've got room for your writer to be behind them working on them. Check out how some of these status boards are set up. I absolutely love it. So this one is set up as it would have looked during Vietnam, it appears. So here's the coast of Vietnam with, I think Hanoi's up there somewhere. So you've got your American forces operating off there. Since this is north, that's probably Yankee Station. See, it makes sort of a circle that they sort of just make donuts up there. And then there's also Dixie Station, which is the carriers in the south, just making circles, launching strikes. Meanwhile, we've got this status board over here that shows the World War II fleet setup. And this is really cool because you can see Hornet as the flagship of Admiral Jocko Clark. And you can see New Jersey up here, radio call sign Werewolf, as part of the escort. You can see you've got your carriers here in the middle. Bennington and Hornet are Essex-class carriers. You got San Jacinto and Belleau-Wood, your Independence-class light carriers. And then you've got your series of cruisers and destroyers on anti-aircraft picket in a circle around them. Your real heavy hitters. San Juan is one of the Atlanta-class anti-aircraft cruisers. New Jersey, St. Louis is one of the 6-inch armed light cruisers. Battleship Indiana, Baltimore, the heavy cruiser, Pittsburgh, our sister ship, and then Missouri's down here, Wisconsin. That is a tremendous amount of anti-aircraft firepower, but all of those ships are vulnerable to submarines, so around them, you've then got a series of destroyers. Look at all those tin cans forming a circle on the very outer perimeter. And then you've even got other destroyers. Here's USS Franks, which famously collides with New Jersey. Other ones out here on your radar pickets about 50 miles out from the task force itself. These make it look like all the ships are close together, but you've probably got about a half a mile, about 1,000 yards between each ship, which would put New Jersey about a full mile ahead of the flagship Hornet. Now we're getting into some of the stuff that Battleship New Jersey does not have. Hornet was set up to be an anti-submarine carrier, a CVS. And so here is where her hull-mounted sonar was fed to. These are your repeaters for the SQS-23 sonar system that were installed on Hornet as part of her SCB-144 conversion to be an anti-submarine carrier. Next, we're going to pass through that space, and we're going to show you something else that New Jersey doesn't have. So in New Jersey, the high seat is just that. It's the end of the line. But on Hornet, you come through and you've got some of the anti-submarine plotting stations. So also how you access the sonar room. But you keep coming through. And you've got what looks like a whole nother CIC. This is not CEC, like New Jersey has two of these command and control spaces. This is the Air Traffic Control Center. Now, Battleship New Jersey, CEC, has an air traffic control center that consists of 2 air search radars in a corner and some radio equipment. That's fine for, we've got a couple of friendly aircraft that have been launched and they're operating in our area, and we're probably have the best command and control facilities around, so we can direct them a little bit. But an Essex-class aircraft carrier can have up to 100 aircraft operating off of her. And then you, of course, also have friendly aircraft from other carriers. Remember, we just saw 2 Essex-class carriers and 2 Independence-class carriers, so that's something like 260 aircraft operating in that task force. And then, of course, you've got the enemy aircraft you have to track. So aircraft carriers have a significantly better flight control center. And this is, much like CIC, another one of those World War II innovations. And the U.S. fights Coral Sea, Midway, Eastern Solomons, and Santa Cruz before they start to get aircraft command and control down just right. So that's at the point when we're starting to detect flights of aircraft on radar and be able to direct our combat air control to them without all of the radio chatter, meaning that nobody can hear where you're trying to send them based on what you see. Fighter direction famously does in the Japanese carriers at Midway, where all of the Japanese fighters attack the American torpedo bombers and get dragged down to the deck, and nobody sees the dive bombers fly right past unopposed, sinking 3 of the Japanese carriers. The Americans fared little better in the fighting off Guadalcanal, and many of our carriers were sunk or severely damaged because of issues with fighter control. So, by the end of her career, you can see that Hornet has this whole space devoted to air traffic control. So, do you think Battleship New Jersey should have had her own sonar or her own air traffic control suite that was a little bit beefier than what she had? We could have certainly changed CIC into an air traffic control suite to complement CEC instead of leaving it comparatively unused in the 80s. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. The Iowa-class battleship certainly had more space for command and control. Do you think it would have been worth it? Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and viewers like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. Consider supporting USS Hornet and their ongoing restoration efforts in the Alameda area. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to them, or check out any of their social medias to see their own YouTube channel and some of the other projects they're working on right now. You can support Battleship New Jersey by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us and our museum. Thanks for watching.